March 2021, and my name's Alison. I'm coming to you from Pilates Leeds, and today I'm going to talk about the Pilates Z Sit, why it's useful, but why it's so tricky, and a few ways to help you get into a better Z Sit, but also some alternatives to that if you can't. And then we'll finally go through some side bend and rotation exercises that you can do in your whatever side sit position you decide to adopt. So one of the big reasons why Z Sit is so useful is because you have to have the legs doing they look kind of the same, but they're actually doing two different things. One is, and I'll show you here, one is externally rotated, so that's turn out of the leg, and one is internally rotated, turn in of the leg. And in Z Sit, you have one leg externally rotated and one leg internally rotated. Now, lots of things make this hard. There's a little muscle in the back of the bottom here called piriformis. If that's tight, it disrupts. The big muscles in the bottom, the glutes, if they're tight, it disrupts. If the back of the thighs, the hamstrings, or the inner thighs are tight, it disrupts. And also tight knees can be a problem. So lots of things make it hard. What makes it worthwhile is that all movement, walking, running, that kind of thing, is an asymmetry of the legs and the pelvic halves in motion. So anything that kind of develops that in a different position is really useful. Anyway, first of all, here's a bit of workup to help your Z Sit. So it starts, strangely enough, lying down. Okay? So if you lie down in your basic position, and this is an exercise called butterflies. So it's kind of Z Sit but lying down, if you like. Your pelvis is stable. Sometimes I put my hands around it just to check it's staying in place. Then I've got, these are my fluttering butterfly wings. Right leg to the right, left leg to the right, left leg to the left, inner thigh stretch, right leg to the left. So you're dissociating your legs from your hips. There's external rotation and internal rotation, and there's an inner thigh stretch. If you're not tight in the inner thighs, you won't notice that. So great workup, but a good exercise in its own right. If you tighten your inner thighs, if you just lie there, soles of the feet together, knees out, and relax and breathe for 30 seconds, great inner thigh stretch. Not so dignified, I have to say, but also an inner thigh stretch. Hug the knees and pull them out to the side. That's also going to give you a good inner thigh stretch. You can stretch piriformis from here. If you're going to stretch it on, this is my right side, right foot on the left knee. For some of you that's enough to stretch piriformis, but truly you want to bring that opposite leg up, press the knee away and the shin towards you. Now I tend to find on people that this is a bit grippy and tense, having the legs in the air. So I would actually suggest, if you've got a wall to hand, that you use a wall for your support leg. Much more supportive, much easier to get this stretch here, because it's just less hard work in the rest of the body. See if you can hold that for 30 seconds. Okay, so there's initially a couple of useful things to help your Z Sit. Here's another one, semi-sit. So your arms are back, your legs are slightly wider than is in fact dignified, and then here we go again, internal, external. Be aware that you don't move your pelvis. You can knee roll like that, completely different exercise, good in its own way, but we're dissociating the pelvis from the legs and internally, externally rotating, stretching through some of the structures in the hips at the same time. So there's your zigzag in seated. Okay, so then some modifications once you're in your Z Sit. Well, there's a couple actually. So the first thing is, if you are quite tight in your hamstrings and you feel you're curved back, sit on a block. You'll know if it works for you. If you sit on a block and it doesn't feel any different, don't use a block. But for some of you, you'll just be able to drop back in the knees and get a taller spine. Job's a good one. Okay, for some of you, where you've got your back leg, you'll be lifted and hoiked off to one side. So what you guys need to do is take this back leg and roll it. Leg and the pelvis, and in fact your body will roll as well. And you're going to drop this back sit bone back down towards the floor so you get a more grounded seated position. The other thing is you'll find you'll tend to lean to the front leg and just in your own way, just come over and sort of get yourself square on. And that's those various things will help you to get your best Z sit. If it still feels uncomfortable, unpleasant, or your just knees are up or you're cockeyed, then don't worry about it. You can still do side bending, but from this position, which is referred to as Mermaid, much kinder. Still do the other stuff. If that's still not right on your knees, then sit forwards, possibly on a block. And then you may find you can't quite get your hands on the floor. So I know it's a bit of a palaver, but it's worth it. You can be here a while and you can have a block or cushions or books to support you on either side for when you do your side bending. So finally, here are some exercises you can do. I've come back to doing the Z sit. So I'm going to do half with the Z sit, half with the Mermaid sit. So here is the first one. So you've got your arm out to the side, so where you've got your leg at the front. So this is my right. And you can use that arm really to push your pelvis. So I'm using my underneath arm to drive side bending. Okay, I'm going to do about 5 on that side. So I'm not using this arm so much, but here's what happens if you do. So this side bend is really using, it's much more kind of graceful really, isn't it? You're using the top arm and the underneath one is bending, and it feels much more like you're moving more from the ribs and less from the pelvis. Do remember to breathe. Just see where your breathing goes. Don't worry too much about the coordination. Okie dokie. How about we add some rotation? So you can side bend, and then on the same side, you go into your side bend, and like there's a dial on the back of your rib cage, it's turning you, and you rotate both hands down, and then you unrotate and unside bend. And again, side bend, rotate, unrotate, and unside bend. Some people prefer to do this with their eyes closed because otherwise there's just too much movement in the eyes. And then one last set. How about side bend one way and rotate to the other. Side bend, rotate. So the movement's coming from the upper back, from the ribs. Then you can actually get a bit of traction by putting your hand there, getting a bit more rotation. And one more. And then I'm going to do the whole lot on the other side, but this time I'm going to do more of the Mermaid, the sort of easier version. Okay, be aware that you're not curved under too much. Again, you might want to consider sitting on a block if you're curved backwards. And for those of you, I'm one of these people who tends to thrust the ribs forward, just send your ribs back. Just be careful you have your rib-pelvis connection. And there is. I actually think this one's a little bit easier with the Mermaid arms. You can just get that sense of the swing of the body. It is actually side bending, it feels swingy, very, very pelvic, as opposed to this, which is still pelvic, it feels more ribby, does to me anyway. Whoops. 3 more. I close my eyes. I prefer to do it with my eyes closed actually. 2 more. So you can see that the movements in the spine aren't radically altered by the position of your legs. A bit, but not so as it matters. Here's the third of the 4, side bend and rotate, hand on hand. And that's going to feel, in the best sense of the word, twisty and stretchy across the back, across the ribs. So the head is moving, but please be aware that you're wanting to get most of the movement in your upper back, your thoracic spine. So although loads of movement in the neck and head, mostly feel that you're working into the ribs and the upper back. So the final one is side bend and rotation to the opposite side. Now this is a little bit harder with the Mermaid Sit because you're not so grounded in your pelvis. Oh, I've done that wrong, haven't I? Side bend. So it's a bit trickier, this, the rotation. So it's the least easy in the Mermaid. I'm going to do a couple more. And then I'm going to do one more. And we are done. So there's the end of my Z Sit and my Mermaid, and there's the end of my clip. Cheerio! Hi there. I do hope you found this clip useful. We've got plenty more on the site, and for now I've suggested another one for you to watch. If you want to know more about what we do in Leeds, then do visit the website at pilates-leeds.com, and right now you can subscribe to the YouTube channel and we can do this all again next month. Cheerio!